Hey everybody, this is Cody Knight 22 here. Welcome to Cody Talks, episode number 3. Cody Talks, Smite Pro League. I love Smite, competitive gaming, esports. I am a nerd. But before I get into this, as always, I'm trying to attract a new audience with every single video that I do produce here, given the fact that Cody Talks will always be covering a separate topic. So, with that, I will be saying that the reason that I am recording this in Minecraft, and I know that I actually had a pretty good window of opportunity here given the fact that, yes, this is in fact another video game, but the reason I am recording this in Minecraft rather than in Smite or just doing it like a normal podcast thing is because this is the higher quality and easier route for me to record something in. Typically speaking, I don't have, or not typically speaking, but I don't have a great webcam. And I can talk while I play Minecraft, which is not something that I can say about actually recording in Smite. Have you ever tried to tell a story while playing Smite? You're going to get distracted multiple times unless maybe you go up against Robot. Sorry, Robot. But that's the visuals aren't really important. So if you don't want to see this, then go ahead, turn off the screen, and you're not missing anything visually. But with that, let's get into the talk. So, about the Smite Pro League, and this is going to be the first episode of Smite Pro League that I do first episode of Smite Pro League. Man, I'm off to a great start. The first episode of Cody Talks that I'm going to be doing under this new format. This is not going to be reviewing anything. I mean, there's nothing really to review. I guess I could review the broadcasters if I really wanted to, if I was really, really dedicated, but I'm not. But I'm not going to be doing that. And instead, I'm just going to be discussing it. And so this is just going to be kind of like my crackpot theories, me picking my personal favorites and all that. And, this is just going to be me reviewing over things from the standpoint of I'm actually going to be making like predictions, analysis, and whatnot, give my thoughts on the matter. This is in no means coming from a professional, but I can spectate professionally. So here we go. First off, the Smite Pro League. I don't actually have a good description for this one, but Smite is a free-to-play third-person MOBA, and Smite Pro League is the competitive scene for that. It is done in Conquest, the game type in which there are 3 lanes, and you have 5 members on your team to push down through those 3 lanes to kill the Titan and win. And these are the teams that were able to do that enough to move on. So this round that just finished up was the first round of the Pro League, and so the immediate next is going to be the wildcard round. And then the immediate one after that is going to be the regional finals. And then after that, we're going to have the World Championship. So this is exciting times. The way that this format worked was that 6 teams competed in each region, NA and EU. And 4 of those teams moved on to the next round. While 4 of those teams per region moved on to the next round, while 2 of those teams did not. This was decided on wins and losses. Each team played 20 games. So, on the North America side of things, you have Cognitive Red at 17-3. They took home the number 1 seed. Cognitive Prime at 14-6 managed to safely secure the number 2 seed. Snipe Gaming at 11-9 beat Dignitas in the tiebreaker, thus meaning that they got that coveted number 3 seed. And Dignitas, after a pretty slow start, managed to actually get that 4 seed, but they kind of choked away their chance at a 2 seed, really. And the 2 teams that failed to qualify, Fat Chunks Assemble, 6-14. They will not be moving on to the next round automatically. They will have to compete in the wild card round. And Thirst, 1-19, which hurts. I mean, it really does hurt for Wolfie, who is the captain of that team. And professional, I play on many different teams, Smite Gamer. So that kind of sucks for Thirst. But on the EU side of things, Exposed Secrets at 14-6 took home the number 1 overall seed. At 12-8, Mortality Gaming took home the number 2 seed, and the number 3 seed, losers actually of the play-in game, or of the tiebreaker, Team Solo Mid and Cloud9 HyperX taking home that number 4 seed at 9-11. The 2 teams that failed to move on were SK Gaming, who also fell to 9-11, and to Team Coast, who went 4-16. I'd like to point out that SK Gaming and Team Coast were actually the top 2 finishers at the LAN event, at the Play-In LAN. SK Gaming winning and Team Coast taking home second place. But Team Solomon and Cloud9 and HyperX actually were also 2 contenders at the LAN. So the 2 play-in teams were the number 2 seeds in EU, and overall EU was obviously much more competitive than NA was, where NA really could have been summarized as cognitive red, we lose when we beat ourselves. That was really how it became for a little bit. But no matter, the 2 teams going to the wildcard round, as in NA, Fat Chunks and Thirst, and then SK Gaming and Team Coast, forgot about them for a second. They will be facing on the NA side of things, they will be facing the Rambozos, who won the Challengers Cup, which was the opportunity to get one more chance at the Pro League for any quote-unquote amateur teams. And also, they will be facing 5 Angry Men. A lot of people believe were a surprising face to not see in the Pro League, myself included. I really did think that they were going to make it, but they did not, and now they have made it on to the next round. So, but on the EU side of things, you have Agilitas and Potato Boys, and the reason that these 2 teams interest me overall a little bit more than the other 2 teams on the NA side of things is because Agilitas undefeated in the Challenger Cup. They won every single week of the Challenger Cup. They got the maximum amount of points. They look so good. They look really, really good, and they look ready to take out either SK Gaming or Coast or Potato Boys. And Potato Boys, they have Sun Touch. I believe that Potato Boys has Sun Touch, former juggler for Cloud9, which I will be talking about in a minute, on their team. So, I mean, the EU side of things, I think overall is much more interesting than NA side of things in terms of competitive. But we'll see as time moves on. But first, I'm going to talk about the wildcard before I move on any further. So the wildcard teams are the Rambozos, 5 Angry Men, Thirst, and Fat Chunks Assemble. This is kind of hard to call. I think that you're going to see 5 Angry Men move on. They, partway through the Challengers Cup, they added on the Best, and Mace to the Face, I believe, rejoined the team partway through the Challenger Cup. And the Best went to the solo lane, Mace to the Face went to the mid lane. And I watched the Challengers Cup sparsely because I was much more interested in the Pro League, in all honesty. But from what I could see, 5 Angry Men with the Best in the solo lane and with a Mace to the Face in the mid lane are contenders, especially given the fact that I really thought that they deserved to move on to that LAN event. But then Mace, or Mace, I believe, was their mid laner at the time, went away from Agni on that final crucial week, and he just didn't pick Agni, even though he'd been performing so strongly with Agni. And it cost him. It really, really cost him. Ultimately, I think that's the main thing that cost 5 Angry Men their spot in the next round, or their spot in that round. And then everybody was like, well, they're going to win in the play-in games. And then they didn't even make it to the round robin. They went out. So it's been a lot harder for them. But I think that now with such a solid presence in the veteran, the Best, I think that they are now contenders. I think that they can absolutely take home that number 1 seed for that wild card round and move on to face the pro teams again. Then it gets a little bit more interesting because you have Fat Chunks Assemble, you have the Rambozos, and you have Thirst. I honestly don't think that Thirst can move on. They just don't look good against anybody that they play. Fat Chunks Assemble, their unconventional lineups work sometimes. Sometimes it bites them. And they don't have like a coach to really rein them in. And I think that they could actually probably benefit from a coach. But, and then the Rambozos have looked really, really good, but they haven't been able to stack up against 5 Angry Men in recent weeks in the Challengers Cup. So it'll be interesting to see what these teams do moving forward. Now, on the EU side of things, I think that Agilitas is going to take home one of those 2 wildcard team spots. Yes, I understand that those numbers look really, really flashy, and it's got to be hard not to jump on. But the reason being is the fact that Agilitas showed flashes of brilliance in the qualifiers. They just weren't able to get it done consistently enough, and they didn't qualify. And then they didn't win the play-in games, and that went to at the time Walk It Off Gaming, now Mortality Gaming, and Exposed Secrets, who they got Zalia. There's not much more that you need to say. But moving forward, I think that it definitely, the EU side of things, Agilitas, I think they're going to be able to win, because I don't think that they've proven that they can beat Potato Boys multiple times. They haven't lost to Potato Boys any single time that they've played, and they haven't lost to anybody from the challenge, from the play-in wildcard thing, Challengers Cup. There we go. I forgot what it was called. They've proven that they can beat everybody, so there's not really too much concern there. But ultimately, for them, I think that you have some difficulties moving forward. You only got to beat Coast, and you only got to beat SK Gaming, and I think that definitely 100% they can take out Coast. Potato Boys, I'm hesitant to go in on. They do have Sun Touch, but Sun Touch just, I don't know, Sun Touch is enough for me to make me say they're contenders. But I hope so, because I like Sun Touch a lot. He's a very good jungler, and the whole Cloud9 fiasco was awful, I think. And it continues to be awful. And SK Gaming, I don't know if they can beat SK Gaming, because SK Gaming has actually looked really, really strong recently, with Maniac, especially in that solo lane, who is one of my favorite solo laners. But I think that they can beat, at the bare minimum, they can beat Coast, and they can beat Potato Boys. I think that they're going to be moving on. And I also think Agilitas will be joining. And I also think that SK Gaming will be joining them. I really, really do believe that it'll be SK Gaming and not another team that'll join them, because SK Gaming has looked really, really strong recently, and I think that it's going to pay dividends for them. But of course, as always, we will see the current teams that are actually in the Smite Pro League, and those teams would, the teams that are actually moving on for certain 100%. On the NA side of things, you have Cognitive Red, Team Dignitas, Cognitive Prime, and Snipe. Snipe, they love that number 3 seed. They've been the third best every single way. I almost wish that there was 3 teams per region going to the World Championship as opposed to only 2, just so that way I could watch with satisfaction as Snipe would get that number 3 seed and take home 3rd in the World Championship. Nothing would make me happier if that were to happen. Unfortunately, I don't think it will. Well, actually, unfortunately, it can't actually happen. But, I mean, Snipe, they're a very, very good team. And I think that I definitely wish them all the best moving forward. But I think that on the NA side of things, you have some storylines, but less so. Cognitive Red looked dominant, really, coming out. And then towards the end, they wavered, I think, a little bit, where they lost a game that wasn't a combat DQ. But they wavered a little bit because they just got a little bit too high and mighty. They got a little bit too safe and secure, and they stopped trying to win games quite as much. They put, I think at one point in time, you had Vulcan ADC for Snoopy. Twice, actually, you had Vulcan ADC for Snoopy. So calm down, Fat Chunks. I mean, they've got to, I think that moving forward, they need to not do that if they want to win. But I also think that they know that, and I think that a little bit of that stems from the fact that a lot of these kids are truly kids. So I think that they'll be moving on, but I don't think that there's, to thinking of it this way, there has to be at least 2 teams that can beat them. I think that Cognitive Prime probably has the best chance at beating them, but I don't see another team being able to top off Cognitive Red to keep them out of that one. And but looking at everybody else, you have Snipe, you have Dignitas, you have Cognitive Prime, you have whatever 2 wildcard teams coming out, which I have already stated to believe that it will be 5 Angry Men and 5 Angry Men and a one other. That the second one is hard to call. I don't believe I actually did. Yeah, I did not call for the second other one. If I had to put money on it, I'd honestly say Fat Chunks Assemble, but it's rough. It's definitely a little bit rough because I just don't trust Thirst, even though Wolfie's on them. I mean, there's only so much that poor Wolfie can do. So I don't think that they'll be able to pull it out. But we'll see. We'll see for Thirst. We'll see for Fat Chunks. We'll see for the Rambozos, the team I talked about, not really so much. And so I think that the second team going forward will be Cognitive Prime. And I have one sole reasoning for this. a little bit ago when they were on their win streak, I probably would have said Dignitas. Because Dignitas came in and they were set to go. They were going to get a new solo laner, which was going to cure their woes of just not having that elite solo, or quite the elite solo lane play that some other teams did. Not to take anything away from Anatoly, because Anatoly did do a fantastic job. Looked a little rusty, I think. I think that he looked a little bit rusty in a couple weeks competitively, and I like to think that everything played out really, really nicely with Dignitas, and because I really like that team a lot. They're actually my favorite team because I'm total bandwagon. Not really. I like picking favorite teams based off of exciting players, and Zapman's fun to watch. But I think that but going into this, they were going to get a new solo laner. That was going to cure their woes. And then suddenly Shadow Q, their top, maybe, who was, in my opinion, the best support in the world, decides that he's going to leave Dignitas. And so he steps down from being an active player. They did keep him under contract, but he steps down from being an active player. And the best also decides to go. So 2 core members of Dignitas go down. Week 1, they looked horrendous with Na and Derek and Shing in there. They looked horrendous. Zapman was the only player week 1 really playing all that well, and even he wasn't playing up to chops. Just nobody. They looked disjointed. They looked like a new team. Week 2, they got a win against Cognitive Red that first game, and then they just went on a tear, and they didn't look back for a really, really long time. From 0-4, Dignitas then proceeded to get up to 11-9. So after they went 0-4, Dignitas went 11-5. Really, really impressive record. But consider that win streak. Towards the end there, they couldn't win to save their life. They really couldn't. They just looked bad. And for that reason, I think that Dignitas needs to pull it together. And if they don't pull it together, I don't think that they'll be able to beat Cognitive Red or Cognitive Prime. Snipe is always third place. I mean, I can't see them getting that sustained success beyond everybody else to take home that number 2 slot. And then looking over 5 Angry Men, I have such a hard time believing in them. I really do, because they've come so close so often, and I just don't think that. I mean, Mace to the Face can keep up with the Boosh. The best can definitely keep up with Divios. But what about everybody else? Also, what if they forget to ban Thor? Because let me tell you something. You can ban Ra, you can ban Geb, you can ban anybody away, but if you don't ban Thor, Cognitive Red wins. I mean, it's not rocket science. That team always wins when Garz gets Thor. It's not that hard. But yet people still don't ban Thor. And then Garz is just like, okay, I'm going to kill your entire team multiple times, and there's nothing that you can do about it. So stop it. Ban Thor. And I don't think that one's rocket science there. So, but I mean, 5 Angry Men, they could forget to ban Thor. It's just, I have a hard time believing that they will be able to see success enough to do it. And whatever other team, even if it is that Fat Chunks assemble, I don't think that Fat Chunks has already proven that they cannot beat Cog Red. They just can't. And so, I am sorry, Fat Chunks. I love your name and I love your team comps because they're the most fun to watch. They were maybe the most exciting team in the Smite Pro League, despite the fact that they were terrible. It's just always fun to watch their picks and bans phase. I really do hope for the best for all of these teams. But looking outward from there, I think that it's going to be the 2 Cognitives. Until one of those teams can step up, if Dignitas pulls it together, they can absolutely beat Cognitive Prime. You know, Lazes could absolutely keep up with Anister. Barracuda and Zapman, I mean, that's a premier Hunter matchup no matter what. Going to the mid lane, you have MLC Stealth and Na. That's a matchup that you think wouldn't favor them, but recently Na has been playing the best on his team. And he's playing like the guy he was brought to replace, which is a joke because the guy he was brought to replace was the best. So I think that Na is actually not as weak of a link as people do assume. Or he's not a weak link anymore. I think that, you give Na, he doesn't have a large god pool. In fact, you probably could target ban him pretty easily if you just banned out, banned out Vulcan and ban out, who else did he play in the mid lane? I believe he's played some Kukulkan in the mid lane, although he did get hit with nerfs. and then you pick Raw. I mean, I think just doing that right then and there, you'd probably be able to mostly shut down Nah, but nobody's willing to do that. Nobody's willing to let them have that much, because, I mean, give Lazard Circuit. Sure, that's a great idea. It's not really. But I think that it's going to be rough. And Dignitas especially, I think that Dignitas has the best chance, because if they play like they did, but it's kind of hard to have faith in them where you have the number 3 seed on the line and Lazard picks the Natos when he had Hoonbats open. That was shameful, and I think that we all knew that they were going to lose there. But, you know, NA should be fun. It's a little bit more straightforward, but EU has been the most exciting division all year long. It's been no contest. They've been so much fun to watch. And this year you have real treat moving forward. I think that, you know, looking at it, you have these 4 teams already moving on, and I think that you're going to have Agilitas and SK Gaming joining them. But, you know, looking at the teams that move forward for EU, you have Team Solomid, you have Cloud9. Big surprise. Or not really a big surprise, I should say. Those 2 teams look so solid, have just been, you know, top of the line on EU. What is surprising is the fact that they only moved on as the 3rd and 4th seed. Cloud9 almost didn't move on. And I think that part of that is due to the fact that Cloud9, before the Pro League, completely disbanded. They were like, see ya, we're done. We're not going to be a team anymore. And then Young Bay and NQ said, okay, well, we're still going to be a team, but in our stead, we're going to bring in Emilito, High Rock, and Optics in place of Sayo, Sun Touch, and Half Devil. And Half Devil actually got kicked off the team beforehand. Before the whole team disbanded, Half Devil got kicked off. So now you have, coming in here, you have this new Cloud9, who's even newer after dumping NQ, who is now ineligible to compete moving forward. And it makes me sad, because I like NQ. Would love to see him on another team, but it's not today, buddy. But you have Cloud9, and it's the new Cloud9. And I think that the new Cloud9 is weaker than the old Cloud9, but, you know, I think that getting rid of NQ was a mistake. They didn't have the right personnel to do what they wanted to do. And I love Ninja Bobat, especially in the jungle, but I don't think that they are. I think that NQ was one of their better players, and it just sucks to see him go. And I definitely don't think that Cloud9 is going to be moving on, but, you know, what an incredible run that they've had. After disbanding, they pulled together so fast, and they were able to get that 4 seed. It's just full props to them. And Team Solomid, yeah, they don't have really an excuse for only being the 3rd seed, other than they just get outplayed sometimes. And then you have Mortality Gaming, who got Sayo, and Sayo's now a solo laner. And, you know, that was Walk It Off Gaming before, and Sayo carried them, but now he doesn't have to carry anymore, because the veteran presence alone that he brought, the veteran I've been there before presence that he brought, was enough to propel all of his teammates. And I think Sayo made that team better. You know, Moex, DeFrezi, Sayo. I cannot remember the names of their mid laner or jungler right now, but I mean, they are just so good now, and I think that they have a really good shot. And then also, who has a really good shot is Exposed Secrets. They have Zalia. Zalia has just been like, you give him a god, it seems, in the solo lane. Okay, I win. You can't ban out Zalia, Vamana, Mercury, Kali even. I mean, you give Zalia a god in that solo lane that he likes, which is a lot of gods, by the way. It seems as though he's going to do so well. And Half Devil is actually now on that team. So, with that being said, I think that you're going to see Exposed Secrets move on. I don't think that there's a team that, I don't think that they'll be able to be kept down as long as it would be needed for them to not move on, if that makes sense. So I think that you're going to see Exposed Secrets move on. And then with them, that's where it gets interesting. I think that the teams that have a chance at moving on with them are Mortality, Team Solomid, and Agilitas. As weird as this sounds, Agilitas has done it before. They have taken home first place when Cloud9 and Team Solomid were in their heyday this qualifying round. I think that Agilitas can do it. I'm not sold on Potato Boys. I'm not sold on Cloud9. But, you know, I think that they could do it well. I think that EU, for me, it's like expose secrets, and I'm going to flip a 5-sided coin to decide who else is going to move on for whatever team comes out of that wild card round. EU is so exciting this year. Honestly, I just want to see it. And I'm just so excited for this moving forward. But those are really my predictions, and I cannot wait until my predictions don't hold through at all, get completely erased, and the teams that I pick all don't make it, and it's just everything goes topsy-turvy. But anything can happen, and especially in competitive gaming, especially in competitive Smite. And I think that ultimately the team that moves on is going to be the team that plays the best. And as cliche as that sounds, that's really what it is. Whatever team plays the best is going to move on, and I'm so excited to see what team plays the best. So with that is going to conclude this episode of Cody Talks. So stay tuned for an episode of Cody Interviews, ideally sometime soon. I'm trying to rope in somebody for that, or a few people I should say for that. If not, tune in for the next episode of Cody Talks, which will most likely be covering Ruby Volume 2. Otherwise, tune in the next time that I will have a video online for people to see and enjoy. And until then, I'll see all of you the next time. Bye!